Dave Scott Hub Media. It's the August show with Barb from Dover Apothecary. And Barb, you and I were talking off air, and it's interesting how people come into your life. One of the great things that I always enjoy is observing and finding out and learning about people. I think it's one of those skills that both you and I have because we work in the public a lot. But sometimes you meet that special person who just takes it to another level, and it's really humbling. And you see their empathy pouring out and how great they are to helping other people. You had that experience recently in your life, and I'd like you to share that if you don't mind today.
Okay. It's honestly, it's an honor to be able to do that, to commemorate a very special person that has left our lives very suddenly and unexpectedly. And I just want to say, Roy was here. There are very, very few people that I have had the honor of meeting or knowing in my life that are 100% truly present, that they listen, that they ask questions to get to know people in a way that there's nothing nosy or prying about it, but it's this intense desire to truly connect with other human beings. And this man was absolutely that to us. We were honored to meet Roy and his wife Heather in 1989 when we lived out in Silver Hill, and had this vision of a general store. Things didn't go the way we had expected. We were young, you know, but the financial chaos that ensued in our lives at that point in time left my husband in a really mentally precarious position. And Roy understood the importance of, when financially we were in a really bad place, to give my husband something to do as work that would help him sort through all the thoughts in his mind. And it was, of all the things, he had him pick corn out of a soybean field. He didn't need that for the yield of his crops. There wasn't enough corn out there, but he gave my husband a purpose, a sense of value, and a support system that he truly needed when was at his lowest point. And that was something that made Roy very rare. He understood you don't take away from somebody by giving handouts, but connecting in a different way and really learning about that person and what makes them who they are, delving into their own strengths. And he traveled, you know, North America, basically, and connected with people. I swear you could have a celebration of life in every small town this man had ever visited, to because he just connected, because he cared on a level that is so rare, and just had the biggest heart. So he was an incredible human being, but I don't know that he'll have ever known the difference that he made in people's lives because he cared on that level.
There's so many places I want to go with this because it's a great topic and it sounds like just a wonderful man. Um, Him, by doing those things, was really helping people both physically and mentally with their health.
Yeah.
Like that's that support system that you and I have talked about a lot on our conversations about being able to help each other. And he could do it through conversation, which is just extraordinary, right? It's just one of those, you don't see a lot of people in today's society that can do that, that understand that, and are able to, like you said, express that and help folks.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. And I mean, there are so many facets to our health. I mean, we can have excellent nutrition, we can get physical exercise, we can be sleeping, we can be eating, the proper things. But if we don't look after that mental health aspect, if we don't have those connections, a lot of those don't end up being nearly as relevant as they need to be, because that guidance through our the way our brain and our the rest of our health function is a critical piece that so many people are missing, having that connectivity to one another. And I in many of the conversations I've been honored to have with his wife since Roy has passed, and she had the most beautiful eulogy because she's only just learning about this man that she spent her life with, that all these years she worried that Roy was being a bother. That his stopping in and talking to people for 45 minutes or an hour, that somehow it was bothering those people. And she's only come to find out how truly much that he actually meant, that people looked forward to that because of the type of conversations that you had with this man, because of the way that he interacted with the human spirit. And we did a trip up to the Amish because, he used to drive truck, but he also used to cut the ditches. So he would stop and he would just chat to people for 45 minutes. And we went up with Heather to let them know what had happened because they didn't have phones, right? So we needed to let them know that Roy was suddenly taken from the world. And so we're driving up there, and people were stopping in their fields and waving at his truck. And it was the most incredible thing that just him passing by, that you knew how many people, and it was just so emotional for all of us. And stopped at a few very special farms, and had a chance to get to know what their experience of Roy was, and to know that we can have that much impact on one another. Like, what a gift beyond anything else, if we can actually have that presence in our lives to connect with people and step out of all of that crazy busy that we get into on that hamster wheel, and truly connect with people. It was just the most beautiful thing, and such a gift that we were able to share our lives with him.
It sounds like to a degree, and I think you and I both carry these qualities as well. I hope we do. Is you pick up on a vibe when someone just needs you to say hi or say thank you or throw a compliment and let it go. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like this person Roy knew and understood that when you see some sad eyes or you see somebody a little bit down, it's okay just to take the time and spend a few minutes with them and help them
Yeah,
remember who they are or help them step through something. And
right.
it's that simple, folks. It's that
Yep.
simple. Exactly what Roy was doing. It's that simple. You just have a conversation and let them know that they matter. And
Yeah.
people appreciate that. Yeah.
They do. They appreciate it and they need it, and sometimes they don't even realize how much they need that until it happens. And it's that humane spirit, that true connection and giving and caring for somebody else, whether it's a smile, whether it's a hug, whether it's just, a genuine hello, and listening to that person. It's not about the speaking, it's truly about the hearing them in the auditory sense, but also hearing people with your heart. And that's a gift that all of us can nurture within ourselves, and we will truly make the world a better place. I mean, the world is a better place. Our lives are better because Roy was here. And I, going forward, will delve even more into that in my own personal way of connecting with other people because of that experience. It was a gift.
Physical. Yeah.
Yep.
And with this, with Roy, the physical presence, like
Yep.
it's not a social media thing. You know what I mean?
No.
With him, it was, and you and I both understand this is when you can stand there and talk physically with somebody in the present moment right in front of each other. That is incredible because that's a conversation. Then it takes on a different life of its own. There's body language, there's everything else. And
Yeah.
obviously he can put people at ease
Yep.
and make them feel like they could talk to him or vice versa. And I think that, that's a skill that not many people have anymore.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And it takes that slowing down. His last year and a half, it was interesting because it was like he went on a little bit of a pilgrimage. And the last time that he came to say goodbye before he went on his last trip, there was a sense that he understood that he wasn't coming back,
Wow.
And it was a really, you can get those impressions. Sometimes some people get them more than other people, but there is I think, a knowing within ourselves, and he understood that before he left, because his goodbye was incredibly different than it had been previously. And he did this trip to facilitate some dreams of his 82-year-old sister. And he went doing something he loved. Who goes from Ontario to British Columbia, down the Pacific coast, and then back across the US to get to Florida? But that's what Roy did. We
That's a
truly could have,
pilgrimage.
every little town he stopped in, we could have a celebration of life for that man, because that was truly his essence. It was how he connected with the world. And yeah, what a beautiful place we can make it if each of us slow down and look for that type of connection. Because the rest of it doesn't add up necessarily to be what we need to be truly healthy in all aspects, if we aren't slowing down and having those relationships with people.
Would you consider him throughout his life to be an old soul?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly one of those wayward travelers but he didn't just pass through life,
No,
right?
he made connections when he
He
went.
made
Yeah.
connections going through this life, but he was definitely what I would call a very old soul.
And I think by definition, in my way of thinking with an old soul, it can be you can be a very young person and be an old soul. It's just that caring attribute that you carry with you.
Yes.
And when you recognize it in other people and you want to help them, I think
Yeah.
to me, that's sort of the quintessential old soul, because that person's already wise beyond their years and they understand the value of life and what it means to engage in a
Yes.
conversation.
Because he truly had a beatific smile, like just an incredible, but an impishness to him. And so when you talk about that youthful sort of spirit, that all of that would shine through. And I think that was a lot of what helped him engage with people, is people were very attracted to his entire presence. And you could feel very safe with him. And that's something that, yeah, I think we need to nurture that, because we can make the world and our relationships that much better by looking at the way that we're interacting, and truly being present that way.
It's interesting because what you said earlier, his legacy is cemented because the amount of people that he affected
Yeah.
all over North America, obviously,
Yeah.
that impact it resonates. You know what I mean? Like you can have all the money in the world, but if you can't have that connection with people, your
Right.
legacy is nothing. But this is, this gentleman obviously was able to connect with people and leave that legacy for them to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Great conversation today. I know this is a little bit off, but I really do think it contributes to other folks' mental health when you have somebody that's that positive and their physical health and inspires, right? And I think that's the important. If you walked away from a conversation with Roy feeling better about who you are, he's did his job and he understands that. And there's not enough people like that. I'm going to give you the last word on Roy because I think this is a fitting tribute.
Um, I just, his humbleness will always be something that I take to heart, and I truly hope that people that I interact with also understand how much they mean to me. But I know I have learned and grown because of Roy, and because Roy was here. And God bless. We love you.